Coach, Ohio State averages 300 yards a game on the ground, and they outweigh your defensive line by about 40 pounds each. How do you think your defensive line will adjust to their offensive line being much bigger?
Uh, yeah, they're good. They're a good offense. There's no doubt about it. J.T. Barrett's good. Their O-line is good. We got to play sound defense.
Yeah. Kabinda and Bell are on the practice field. You assume that's good news for this weekend?
Yeah, it's they didn't practice last week. This is the first time that they practiced. First time they've played. They haven't been obviously doing anything for about a month. So for us to expect that they're going to go in and start and play 60 plays in the game, they won't. But there's no doubt the fact that they're back, it provides depth and leadership that we've been lacking in some areas.
At what point did you guys this year know that Will Fries was a guy that maybe would be on the fringe for you as far as burning the red shirt, or was it really just when injury happened that you kind of thought you'd get close to it?
Really, from the time he arrived, he was probably more prepared and better prepared than we thought. In high school, they really never threw the ball, so we didn't know how far along he would be in his pass protection and things like that, and how physical he would be, and just from a maturity standpoint. But right away, the strength coaches, excuse me, the players were talking about him very early on, and then the coaches noticed it early in camp that he'd have a chance. And then he's just kind of continued to build on that every day. Obviously he's improved in every area of his game. I thought last year he was really good for a freshman, but he's obviously improved in every area of his game, and pass protection will be a part of that as well.
James, first 8 o'clock start of the season, how do you kind of deal with the downtime and kind of setting up Saturday?
It's funny because I just talked to the team about that. We got a lot of guys that have not played in a night game before, and we haven't played in one this year. So I'm going to have Kevin Threlkill, one of our administrators, send out, mass email out the Saturday schedule, so they kind of have an understanding of what to expect the young guys. So when the meals will be, when the pregame meal will be, when the walkthroughs will be, all those types of things, how much downtime there'll be, just so they're not caught off guard, a bunch of the young players that we have. So we're going to send that out, but besides that, not a whole lot more.
Brendan Mann has moved around a lot for you guys since he's been here. How do you kind of balance that with a guy when you kind of want to ideally get him settled at one spot, but it's a matter of doing what's best for the team? How do you try to balance that with a guy?
Yeah, I don't think you do balance it. You got to do what's best for the team, and I think we've talked about this in the past about trying to create as much flexibility as we can in how we develop them, and then also how you recruit. You prefer not to recruit guys that are center guards only. You'd love for your inside guys to be swing guys, in terms of guys that have the mass and the size and the strength to play center and guard, but have enough length that could play out at tackle. I think Mann's a perfect kind of example of that body type. That's really what you'd want all of your inside guys to be like. So, I don't know if you're ever going to be in a situation where you got one guy that only plays one position. You're always going to have this. Hopefully you get to a point where you're physical enough and durable enough and lucky enough that you don't have a whole lot of injuries, you don't have a whole lot of moving parts.
Getting off to a faster start in games has been kind of a priority for you. How much more of it is when you're playing in Ohio State, in a juiced-up stadium, and a whiteout? Does it become that much more important to get off that?
I think it's important every week, and we've been better with that the last 2 weeks. So I think it's important to keep the fans engaged. I think everybody would recognize when Irving Charles made that play a couple weeks ago, not only did it invigorate our sideline, but it invigorated the whole stadium. And having the fans and getting that home field advantage is important. But you gotta play a style that's going to keep them engaged. And then we're going to need all the fans, throughout the game to really clap, to really scream, to really yell, and create a tough environment. Not just on third down, not just on fourth down, not just in the red zone. Not at a critical play. Really throughout the entire game.
James, we've seen Curtis Coughlin on the field a couple times, make a couple plays, but he's going to be starting this week. What are his strengths and weaknesses as a player, and what have you seen from him that led you to starting this week?
To be honest with you, I think especially on the D line, I think we make a lot more out of who's starting and who's not. I mean, if it's the quarterback, I get it. If it's, an offensive line or a position that you don't rotate, then I think it's significant. But on the D line, we're basically playing a two deep, and both of them are getting between 40 or 25 reps. So it's not as significant. But he's been a guy, really since we've been here. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic. He's one of the stronger guys on our team. He's put on the size right now to be able to play inside. And he's an older, mature guy. So, we've been kind of excited about him. At first, when we made the move, we didn't know how it would work. This spring, we felt like it went really well. We had success with this in the past with Zettel. He's probably 10 pounds bigger than what Zettel was when we made the move with Zettel. So, I think he's got a bright future for the rest of this year and really the rest of his career.
James, last week you said you weren't sure if you were going to play Fries. Has that changed at all yet, or is that still going to be?
Yeah, it's still, I would say right now the way it's looking is we got Man, we got Paris, we got Chaz, some combination of that order, and then Fries would be the fourth guy at this point. And it's not like, again, back to the depth chart, I think it's more, you guys make more out of it than it is sometimes. It's not like Fries is, even though he's maybe second team on the depth chart, he would not be the second guy in.
James, you mentioned yesterday that it might take Brandon and Jason a little bit to get back into the swing of things. Brandon Bell and
Okay,
Jason
yes.
to get back in the swing of things at practice. How comfortable have they been the last couple of days getting back into it?
Yeah, I know you guys hate when coaches say this. I got to watch today's tape. I go back and forth from offense to defense. I thought Jason probably practiced at a higher level than we expected. Brandon as well. But both of them, as the practice went on, you could tell they wore down, just not used to practicing and going at that level, that type of intensity. So as much as you run them and do other things, it's just not the same. So, we'll see. We got today's practice, and then we still have tomorrow's practice. And then, you got Friday's walkthrough, and you got Saturday. So, there's still some time. But, again, I don't see them playing 65, 70 plays in the game. We'll see, because I know right after the game you guys will have the count, and you'll tell me if I was wrong.
Is it something with Bell and Cabinda? Are they, so excited to get back on the field that you got to have to temper them, or are they veteran enough to know when they need to slow down?
Bell, as you guys know, Bell's pretty kind of chill in general. Cabinda's the opposite. Cabinda's been getting in fist fights with the doctors and the trainers for 3 weeks now to get back on the field, which I like. I'd rather that. I'd rather say whoa than signal. And he's kind of got that mentality. Bell's he's like steady Eddie, which is also great. He's got a very calming effect on our guys. He's a playmaker on Saturdays. But again, both of those guys have missed a lot of football.
Yeah, how do you balance game planning for the things that you've been doing all year and maybe adding wrinkles in a game where you feel like maybe you have to make different kinds of changes?
Yeah, it's no different. Every week you're going to do that. Majority of the things you're going to do are your base plays, your base defenses. You're going to add a little wrinkle here or there, whether it's a formation or whether it's a motion or whether it's a shift. Even on defense, a shift. And then you're going to have some game plan specific plays for Ohio State, that we have every week on both sides of the ball. A certain pressure, a certain blitz. So it's not different. It's not like you're going to play the number 2 team in the country and you're going to try to reinvent the wheel. That's not going to work. What's going to work is us going out and executing. Just like I heard Joe just talking to the offense. The whiteout is awesome. The 107,000 fans are awesome. All those things are great. But at the end of the day, it comes down to execution. It's not the uniform. It's not, putting numbers on the helmets. It's not, all these things that I hear. It's about execution. It's about going out and playing hard and playing smart for 60 minutes. Do the fans help? Yes. Is there excitement? No doubt about it. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what you do between the whistles.
Last one.
James, how would you compare the productivity from today's practice and
I thought the intensity was really good. It's funny, I wrote a note down. That's going to be my comment next week is, the intensity should not have been higher this week. That naturally happens, but if your approach is right and your process is right, you should go out and practice every single week with the same type of intensity, because it's really not about your opponent. It's about the standards that you have in your program. As we all know, there's a human nature part of it. When you're playing a big-time opponent, it gets approached differently. But again, we try not to approach it that way. We try to get our guys to say, what is our standard at Penn State of who and what we want to be, and work towards that. I did think there was a little bit extra intensity today at practice. I wouldn't necessarily say at this point it was the cleanest practice that we've had, but I thought the intensity was really good. One of the things that's really helped us this year compared to the last 2 years is our scout D-line is so much better. Our scout O-line is so much better. So it forces you to practice at a higher level on the O-line and D-line of the travel squad, because those guys are talented. It's funny because one of the questions walking over here that I thought I was going to get was who's simulating JT Barrett, and it's kind of like the discussion we're having now about the quality of our O-line and D-line. I mean, our backup quarterbacks are doing it, but no one's simulating JT Barrett. If we had someone as good as JT Barrett, it wouldn't be on the scout team, or they'd be starting for us. We can't send Trace down there to run their offense. So I think that that's probably the biggest change. Is first year we just didn't have it. Last year we started to have it, and we weren't used to practicing at that intensity, and now it's starting to become part of our kind of routine around here, which I think is really, really important.